I think we're live.
No. Better than being dead. Yeah.
We've never actually done a live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't figure that out.
Okay. Well, whatever. What did you want to talk about today? And it better be what I just told you.
Yeah, why don't we talk about the words that you can use when you're going into a car dealership? When I think about the title for this video, it'll be something along the lines of, I don't know, like ways that dealers try and get
words. The words the dealership uses to manipulate the customer.
This is why you're here and
you're here.
All right, so the words that the dealership use to manipulate the customer.
Yes.
Yeah, walk us through it.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to start by saying the most important thing is that when we communicate, whether you're the customer or you're somebody from a dealership, it's not what you say, it's how you say what you say. And what I mean by that, as an example, there's a couple different ways to say the same thing. For instance, oh my God, she was so ugly her face could stop a clock. Or every time I gazed at her face, it was as if time stood still. Which one sounds better?
Why?
Why not? Because the point is that there were two different ways of saying exactly the same thing. One is going to annoy somebody and anger somebody the way it was said.
Yep.
And the other evokes a vision of something completely different, of something just wonderful. So there's value in words and how they're said. So it's not what you say, it's how you say what you say. An example of that, as a sales manager, and I had a salesman, and we had a customer, and I sent him to go talk to his customer, and I said, this is exactly what I want you to say to your customer. Stop staring at me like that. I want you to say to your customer that the banks today are looking for somewhere between 20 and 25% down, which in your case, on this $30,000 car, is going to be somewhere between $600 and $7,500. Were you planning on putting that or more down? And then listen to the customer's response.
Okay, so why did you tell him to phrase it just like that?
I'm getting to that. So the salesman comes back to me 30 seconds later. I said, what happened? He said, well, he doesn't want to put anything down. I said, well, what did you say to him? And his response was, I told him we need somewhere between $6,000 or $7,000 down. How does that sound? Okay. That sounds pretty bad. I don't care if you're a millionaire. You just ask somebody for $6,000 to $7,000 down. And how does that sound? It doesn't sound good. Were you planning on putting that or more down? Is a way of manipulating the customer to thinking that, well, I've got to come up with something close to what the banks were anticipating, and you're not telling them I'm going to need X. You're suggesting to them that the bank wants to see that type of participation from you. So are you planning on putting that or more? What would be easier for you as the customer? That's completely different than, well, I need $7,000. How does that sound?
No, I get that.
So it's not what is said, it's how what is said.
Well, it is what is said, because if you say,
but it's how you say it.
No,
it's how you phrase it. It's the significance and the importance of the words that you use,
which is what you say. Yeah.
Which is how you can manipulate the customer.
But for clarity,
yes,
it is what you are saying. If I go to someone and say,
technically, Zach, you're right. It is what you were saying. It's just improving the way you're saying it.
Yes, and that's a way that a dealer, that's a way any salesperson could try and manipulate a conversation to get what they.
It's also a way that the customer can manipulate the conversation. For instance, if the customer comes in and says, listen, I hate dealing with you people, all of you people. I just want your best price. Or if the customer comes in and says, I understand this is a struggle for both the customer and you to come up with a compromise that works for everybody. I would like for us to be able to work together to make that happen. Would you be willing to do that with me? Which way do you think the salesperson is going to be more predisposed to, I don't know, want to help the customer find a car deal?
Yeah, but then, in just the customer's defense, because I do this all day, calling dealerships and talking to them, man, you get stuck with some salespeople that...
I get that. I'm just suggesting that there's the same way that a salesperson or a sales manager might manipulate a customer by the choice of words when chatting with the customer, the customer can do the same thing to the salesperson or the sales manager by manipulating them with their choice of words. Whether you want it to be confrontational or collaborative, whether you invite somebody to work along with you, or whether you're threatening them that if they don't work with you, you're not interested in doing business with them.
Yeah.
So it's the choice of words that helps to manipulate the response that you're getting either from the salesperson or from the customer.
So one question I have is, I think a lot of people commonly hear this from dealerships, and I wonder if it's them trying to manipulate the customer or not, and I want your input here, or your feedback. We need a deposit down to secure the vehicle. I wonder, is that a way to manipulate? And also we need an answer by the end of today if you're going to do this.
Yeah, one of the things that's a real falsehood, and one of the things that I always counsel my salespeople to never, ever, ever say, because in 99.9% of dealerships that you go into, the salesperson or the sales manager, when they come in to talk to the customer, is going to say something like, "Well, Mr. Smith, what do we need to do to earn your business today?"
I hear that all the time.
You hear that everywhere. Okay? And I told my salespeople, if I ever heard you say that to a customer, I would fire you. Okay? The question isn't, what do I need to do to earn your business today? Mr. Smith, what additional information can I get for you today that would make it easier for you to want to go home in your new car?
Yeah.
That's different and has a different ring.
So what's the rationale from the dealership perspective when they make these offers? I mean, it's, I guess, the time sensitivity. It's like...
Well, I mean, offers can be time sensitive.
Well, right. We're filming this on, what, May 29th?
9th, yes.
So, no, I get that because there's some manufacturer incentives that are going to go away.
Yes.
I'm working on a car deal for a client that, the dealership's taking a very short deal because the client's in their backyard. They need a unit to get to the factory. And so I get it, but I feel like it could be June 6th and someone watching this video is going to go try and negotiate a car deal and they're going to say, well, this price is only good through today. And if we're talking about words to manipulate, I mean, that's an example, right?
Okay, yes, that is to pressure somebody into doing something now.
Yeah.
The three most important letters to a salesman, N-O-W, they want to figure out how to make it happen now. The sales manager wants to figure out how to make it happen now. My response, if I was a customer and said, well, the price is only good through the end of today, my response would be, well, if it's good today, why wouldn't it be good tomorrow?
Yeah.
And as a sales manager, I would never say to a customer, my price is only good today. If it's good today, it's good tomorrow. If the incentives go away, if we go from May 31st to June 1st and the incentives change, which could happen, and I have seen happen, well, yes, that will negatively impact the quote that I gave you today. But assuming that all the incentives are the same tomorrow as they were today with the offer that I gave you today, it's the same offer. Would I prefer for you to be able to make a decision today? Absolutely, I would. Am I confident enough in the price that I'm giving you that if you come to the realization tomorrow that was an excellent deal and you'd like to complete the transaction, I would not dare ask for a penny more.
Yeah. So when customers are being hit with that, your recommendation is if you're not ready to move forward, don't move forward.
Well, here's the real key. I mean, oftentimes customers come in and they, well, I want the best price on this, or I want the best price on that. Is this the real question that begs to be asked by a salesperson is, well, is this the car that you've decided on? Okay, assuming for a moment that the best price that we give you is less than what you had hoped it would be.
Yeah.
would you be predisposed to, I don't know, just want to go ahead and complete the transaction? If it fit into what you've budgeted or was less than what you had budgeted, and if the salesperson says, well, I don't even really know that this is the car I want, well, then there's no point, or I mean, if the customer says that, then there's no point in negotiating the bottom line price, because the bottom line price is dependent upon whether or not the customer really wants the car. If I made the price so incredibly low, but it wasn't the car they wanted, what difference does it make?
No, I get it. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people watching this are in a situation where they feel like they can't trust the dealership. They've gone,
and in most cases they can't.
Yeah. And they've gone and they've talked and they've met with a salesperson, or they're emailing back and forth, and they get this offer is good through today, and you got to just stand firm, unless understand the scope and the context of the way where the dealership's operating in the manufacturer incentives. But you can wait till the end of the month. You can see if you can get a better deal then if you want to. You're not. So these are manipulation tactics, and it's all focused around that word now. From a dealership perspective, they're trying to close a deal yesterday, right? Now or yesterday, right?
Yes.
And so as a consumer, as a client, as a customer, you can walk into that experience and you can be aware that this is what's probably going to happen. The things around asking about money down. I mean, that's to benefit.
But it all came down to how it's asked.
Exactly. And I guess what I'm saying is we all have these antennas, right? We can all kind of, when we're in an environment, we can sense a little bit of what's going on. We might feel it in our gut, in our head. Antennas. And have yours up. Have yours ready when you're having these communications, because it sounds like from your past experience, you're going to be using some tactics and techniques to try and get to the now, to try and get them to obviously close.
There's always there's a dance that's going on. There's all and sometimes the salesperson's the lead in the dance, and other times the customer is the lead in the dance. But there's always a dance going on, and there's always some form of manipulation that is taking place, whether it's the salesperson trying to manipulate the customer, or it's the customer trying to manipulate the salesperson. There's somebody's being sold something.
No, I mean, they're both
the salesperson is trying to sell the car. Sometimes the customer is just trying to sell a concept that they may buy a car. But somebody's selling somebody. Somebody's selling, somebody's buying.
No.
And it's and each party to this is practicing some form of manipulation. The difference is that most salespeople, since they practice it on a daily basis, are better at it than the customers who typically only practice it on a 3 to 4 year basis.
Which makes sense.
Yes. So, but it's not what you say. It's how you say what you say. It's how you phrase what you say. It's the words that you choose to communicate what it is that you hope to accomplish that either elicits a response where somebody wants to work with you and on your behalf, or elicits a response of, I don't want to help this person at all. So everybody has to be careful about the language that they choose. And many salespeople aren't real good at that. They choose the wrong words. They say things that trigger the wrong responses. Perfect example. When I was younger in the business and people would counteroffer, and it was like a really low ball counteroffer, I would just look at them and go, "What are you, nuts? I can't do something like that." Well, that's not the right answer. That's the answer that pretty much guarantees you're not selling a car. So what I learned over the course of time is you never tell a customer what you can't do. You only tell them what you can do. And you would look at the customer and say, well, what I can do is X. I know it's not the Y you're looking for, but this is what I can do. What can you do to help us get there? What can you do to help bridge the gap? That's a lot different than, what are you, nuts?
Yeah, the what are you, nuts is confrontational. The what can we do to meet in the middle is collaborative. I get that. And I think the audience gets that as well. So I guess just kind of in wrapping this up, are there any particular phrases or other areas of the car deal that you think customers should be aware of where there might be some manipulation going on?
I think a consumer, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but I think a consumer should say to the salesperson when they first meet him, listen, I promise not to blow smoke up your butt if you promise to do the same. I'm willing to work with you towards a common goal. Your goal is you want to sell a car. My goal is I want to buy a car. I want it to be pleasant. If you're willing to do that with me, then I'm willing to perhaps end up buying a car from you. If you're unwilling, then let's stop now. And you're setting parameters, but you're using nice language to do it.
Well, smoke up your butt isn't that nice. You said this is a whole video. Your idea. I wanted to talk about something else, and you said words and how they matter, and then you said smoke up your butt.
I don't think smoke up your butt is because you're saying I won't blow smoke up yours if you won't blow smoke up mine.
No, but I think it's like I will work collaboratively with you, Mr. or Mrs. Salesperson. Okay. Will you work collaboratively?
This is the joys of having a 24-year-old. just so you know, folks. I think it's time for our outro. I think we're done here. I've had enough of this guy.
Are you able to still ground me at 24?
I don't think so. I can't even throw you out of my condo. Anyway, check back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some more good information for you tomorrow. Don't know what it is yet. We'll think about it overnight. Let him know if this was okay.
You want to end it? You got to click the button.
Jesus! Oh my God! I feel like Bill Clinton and the lights are falling down on me.
So we actually had a light that we had
just
that we
fell.
used, and it just fell. So this is Hollywood. No, you got to click on the mouse. There you go. Click on that button.